I'm just going to take you through everything to check on your 5D Classic before you buy it. So you could either go in a shop and obviously you could check these things, but I would suggest either ordering it from maybe me, because I check everything first, or a reputable camera store, because you might want to send it back. This is the problem with the 5D Classic. There's not many things, but it's worth checking. So let's have a look. I'm pointing it straight at the flash shoe, because what I check, this is a well-worn Canon 5D Classic. This is actually my body that I've used for a very long time. Look for wear on the hot shoe. So because we don't know the shutter count of these cameras, what we don't really want to pick up, if we can help it, is a professionally used camera. We want to pick up a camera that's been used by an amateur photographer and has not had much use. So let's have a look. So mine's got a lot of wear on it, and that's a lot of weddings. So if you see that amount of wear, then I would definitely think about not buying it. The next thing I would check is movement of the hot shoe. This one has actually got movement. I can't show you it. There you go. You can see it. So if you've got movement in that hot shoe, although it's not the end of the world, it's actually quite a complicated fix. And if I had the choice of having one with a wobbly hot shoe or one without, then I would choose the one without. So I'm happy with this camera. This will keep going. It won't affect the contacts, although you should have a good look at the contacts, make sure they're not damaged at all. So really go in on the hot shoe. That'll tell you a lot about the camera. Let's move on to the serial number. Now, in other videos, I think I've scared a lot of people about the serial number and mirrors falling off. We'll go on to the mirror, but the next thing is try and buy a camera with a later serial number. It's getting harder because people are realizing that the earlier serial numbers mean that the mirror is going to fall off at some stage. Canon did a fix, and this one's actually been done. I'll show you in a second. But if it's 0530 don't really get involved with it, is my way of thinking. I don't actually source any zeros or ones anymore. I only source late twos, so I want to be at 2.8 up to 3. So ideally I only try and get 3s, but anything over 2 is fine with me, because I know that they've improved the rear screen, and I know that they've actually done the mirror fix. And it's not just a mirror fix, it was a whole new mirror. So really important to check the serial number. So don't buy zeros if you can help it, or if you do, in my opinion, they should be heavily discounted. The chances are the mirror is going to fall off, and I can guarantee you at some stage it will. I've had 2 bodies where the mirrors have fallen off. If you don't want to take that risk, get in touch. I'm not shipping all over the world at the moment, but you know, you might watch this video in a few years, so I could be. But yeah, if you want a really nicely sourced camera and you don't want to be checking all this, then get in touch. It's worth looking at where the battery goes as well, because obviously you can have problems in there. I take the cover off, make sure everything's fine. The doors are pretty solid on these, so you don't usually get too many problems with that. Just make sure your catch is okay. Wear and tear. Now, you're going to get shining on the corners, but I see cameras that are completely wrecked, and you don't need to buy them, to be honest. There's plenty of 5Ds out there. It's just a matter of whether you can be bothered to source them, to be honest with you. I might have 3 cameras in, and I probably pick one, even if they're very, high 2s with the serial number. But I look for nice cameras. I don't mind a tiny bit of shining. You'll get shining on the corners, general shining. You might get very fine scratches on the screen. There's a screen protector on this one, and I suggest you use screen protectors, but they're pretty solid screens actually, so you don't see major damage on the screens. So general shining. The bottom plate might look immaculate because the battery grip's been on, That's because I use the battery grip so much that I actually never take this off. So that protects the bottom. So just have a look at the bottom. Look for screws. I've had them actually where you have a look at the screws and you'll be able to tell whether this is being repaired or not. So go around all the screws and you'll see whether it's been taken to pieces. I've had one where a screw was missing, so I looked around all the screws. Another really important one is to put it on a tripod, because you'd be amazed, people strip that thread and then you solder a camera without that, and that's not what you want at all. There's no need to buy a bad camera is what I'm trying to say. It's just a matter of you're probably going to have to order a few to try and get the right one. These wheels I've never had a trouble with. I've got 30D. I mean, this thing has been spun around forever and it's absolutely fine. I find all the buttons are usually fine. You might find, what should we call it, the jog dial? I can't know what they call it really. I just call it the, I don't know, this little thing. So this little thing, I have had cameras where you'll press play, zoom in, left, right, and there's been a bit of a problem in there. So you want to check that, because you know, not lots, but I have seen it where this has gone. Again, zoom in, zoom out. You imagine if this was a professionally used camera, you press play, you zoom in, you zoom out. You're doing that every second at a wedding. You're taking pictures, having a quick look, in, out, in, out. So these buttons, you've got to watch it that you don't get one with a dodgy button. And you'll soon know, just press play, zoom in, zoom out, have a good play, and you'll find out. Never had much trouble with the top buttons, to be honest. If you think about it, they're not going to get pressed constantly. Never had a trouble with the shutter release on these so far at all, or the dials. So I don't really, not great concern over those. If you've got any problems you found with your 5D, I'd really appreciate you putting a comment below. If you subscribe, that'd be great as well, because I'm always putting videos out about the 5D. And if you do like this video, if you could like it, that would make a lot of difference, because it spreads the video around. If you like it, if you don't like it, it doesn't really matter, just like or don't like. That's pretty much the back of the camera. I've never had any trouble with the left hand buttons. Menu button, this button's never used. It's a shame, such a waste of a button. I wish that was something. Anyway, let's go up. So as soon as you pop that off, I mean, I've had one recently, I've sent back to have it fully cleaned. What you want to be doing is looking through the viewfinder and seeing if you've got specks of dust on the focus screen. That's not the sensor, it's just the focus screen. So you want to have a look in straight through, concentrate on, and what I would do is just take the body cap off, don't have a lens on, just have a look. Just focus on, see if you can see the focus screen, if it's clean or not. They're easy to clean, so don't worry too much about that. But again, do you want to be actually cleaning that? If it's absolutely filthy, it's because someone's taken it off and they've fiddled around with the camera usually. You might find the odd speck, but just bear that in mind, that you don't have to have filthy cameras. So yeah, have a good look through there. You could also check at the same time that the electronics are working. Obviously you want to go through all the menus and everything and make sure everything's working fine. But looking straight through focus screen, you don't want a dirty one. Let's put that back on. What else do I check? You'll find that this is a real problem with these. So let's have a look. And I say a problem, it's not the end of the world, but it can be a bit annoying. Never liked this. Right, let's get it off. So these little doors, when people put them back on, they can damage that little piece there or there, and it folds it over and then it won't push back on properly, and you'll see quite a few cameras where this has happened. This one's okay, I think. Yeah, it's not too bad. So just bear that in mind. If that's sticking out and it's all wrong, don't feel you've got to buy it. What I look for is that goes back in quite snugly. You just have to be careful with them. It's usually because people are, well, they're using them and they're rushing around. So you want it nice and flush. Right, we've done the bottom, we've done the top. This dial I've never had a problem with. Same with the 30Ds, pretty solid. No problem. So let's go to the big one. So sensor dust and the mirror. Now, to be honest, I try and buy my cameras from reputable dealers anyway. So generally the sensor comes clean, but don't feel you've got to buy. In fact, I suggest you never buy a camera that's got a dirty sensor. The reason being that the dust can be welded on, so the sensor gets hot. So, you know, don't be doing that. There's a difference between welded on dust and some fibers or loose dust. If it can be blown off, that's fine. If it blows off, that's great. Let's have a look at the mirror and see if we can see the mirror fix. I'll link to the mirror fix video, see if we can get some good light on it, see if I can show you. Okay, so this one's been reinforced. It's got the reinforcement strips either side. They're not the big pieces, that's that tiny slither that's just on the edge. Now, I personally don't source these cameras even when they've been repaired now. I source the later cameras, and believe it or not, you won't see that little tiny slither at the side of the mirror. Just follow your eye to the edge, you'll see that little piece. And you can Google it and you'll see that. So there's a question, should you buy a camera, or a 5D Classic, sorry, that's been repaired? Well, once they are repaired, in other words, they've got that little reinforcement strip, they go on because they've fixed the problem. But Canon did not really get that information out there, unfortunately. So they ran it for a certain period of time. They did really well, by the way. There's quite a few that are done, but you'll be amazed how many serial number 0s and 1s have not been repaired, and you won't see that. And then people get the confusion of, should I buy the camera? And they email me and say, you know, I've got this camera, should I buy it? And I can't give advice because, to be honest with you, we don't know what went on with this camera. And what I do is I just source the later ones. So if you're bidding on one on eBay, which I never suggest, to be honest, I never buy them off from eBay. I've had so many poor ones. Just ask the serial number. Trying to get one with a 2 or a 3 at the beginning, and you won't go far wrong with the mirror problem. Then you won't have to worry about it. So that's pretty much what I do with them. Generally clean condition. Obviously wear and tear is always going to be a problem. You might get a late 3 that's been absolutely hammered, but the idea is to try and get a clean camera that's been used by semi-professional or amateur photographer, and it's a clean copy. You don't want it to be fiddled around with. And just ask questions. That's what I always do. Where's the camera from? Who's owned the camera? If you can use your local camera shop, but the chances of picking up a decent 5D Classic are pretty slim. So if you do need one, I'll leave a link in the description below to my resources page. I'll put it in the comments as well. You can go over to the resources page. That's where I keep all the information about this camera and some information about the other 5Ds. And it's a really useful page to join, and it's free, and it's just there for you, really. If you need a camera, I don't take everybody on. I'll be quite honest with you. If you're really serious about buying a 5D Classic, it's not going to be 200 quid or $200. You know, I spend a lot of time sourcing these cameras, so when I get one, it's a good one. But it's always worth checking the resources page, link in the description. Take a look, because that's where I will be putting up the cameras. So if I suddenly get a really nice 2 or 3, serial number 2 or 3, that's where they're going to go. Hope that helps you. They are a solid camera, and obviously you're seeing from different Facebook groups, and everybody's realising what a gem it is. I realised it luckily very early, and I just kept using it. So we'll leave it there. Try one of these other videos. I'll try and pop some up at the end, and you can go over to those and have a look. Okay, have a good day. Bye.